So in this question, we're asked to find the first terms in ascending powers of the binomial expansion of 1 plus 8x all to the power of a half. And we're told to give each term in its simplest form, and this is for 3 marks. So we're first going to have a think about the general formula. So we know that if we have 1 plus y to the power of n, we will have this for our general formula. So we'll have 1 plus n multiplied by y over 1 factorial plus n multiplied by n minus 1 multiplied by y squared over 2 factorial, etc. So now we need to think, how does this apply to our case? So we have 1 plus 8x all to the power of a half. So then we can say our y is going to be equal to 8x, and then our n is going to be equal to 1 over 2. So what we can now do is we can substitute 8x and a half into this general formula, and then that's going to give us the expansion of 1 plus 8x to the power of a half, and that'll be the first 4 terms. So therefore 1 plus 8x to the power of a half is going to equal 1 plus n multiplied by y, so that's 1 over 2 multiplied by 8x, and then we divide that by 1 factorial, and then we add on 1 half multiplied by a half minus 1. We multiply that by 8x all squared. So we've got to remember we're going to square not only the x but the 8 as well. And then this time we're going to divide that by 2 factorial. And then for the final term, it's going to be 1 half multiplied by a half minus 1. And then we multiply that by a half minus 2. Then we multiply it by y cubed. So for us, that is going to be 8x all cubed. And then we divide all of this by 3 factorial. And then we do the plus dot dot dot, because we know that this expansion will go on for more than this. So then all that's left for us to do is we can simplify this. So our 1, can't simplify that anymore. Then we have a half multiplied by 8, so that leaves us with 4x. Then we can put this into our calculator here just to do the simplification. So we'll have a half multiplied by negative a half multiplied by 64. So that's going to be equal to negative 8, and then we have x squared, negative 8 x squared, and then doing the same for our last term, that leaves us with positive 32, and we have x cubed. And we also have the additional terms, but we only need the first 4, so that is us completed this expansion here. And we'll just write that back out there. And that's us completing this question. So we know that the expansion of 1 plus 8x all to the power of a half, the binomial expansion of this is going to be 1 plus 4x minus 8x squared plus 32x cubed. This question was worth 3 marks, and we receive our first mark for having an understanding and attempting the binomial expansion with n equals 1 half, and in our case y equals 8x. So we'll give our first mark here. We'll then receive our second mark for having the correct unsimplified expression. So we receive that here, and then we receive the third and final mark for having the correct final answer. Then taking a look at part B of this question, we're asked to explain how you could use x equal to 1 over 32 in the expansion to find an approximation for the square root of 5. And we're told there is no need to carry out the calculation. So the first step, what we're going to do, if we're not going to do the calculation, but we're just going to write out what we would do. So if we substitute in x equals 1 over 32 into 1 plus 8x to the power of a half, this is going to give us 5 over root 2. So I'll just note that down. So I'm recalling the question, we were asked, we want to find the square root of 5. We want to find an approximation for that. So what we can then do is we can take our expansion, so what we worked out in part A, so 1 plus 4x minus 8x squared plus 32x cubed, if we take that and then substitute in x equals 1 over 32, we then know we can multiply it by 2, and that will give us our approximation. And why do we multiply it by 2? Because putting this in to here, we have root 5 over 2. So if we multiply by 2, we'll be left with root 5. So just writing this down, we should then substitute in x equals 1 over 32 into 1 plus 4x minus 8x cubed plus 32x cubed, and then we multiply by 2. We've therefore completed this question, and we get 1 mark for each bullet point we have here. So we get our first mark for explaining about this substituting into 1 plus 8x to the power of a half, and then we get our second mark for substituting x equals 1 over 32 into our binomial expansion.